When I started my first ever online business at 17, it was actually barely even online. It was a social media management job that I was doing for a local restaurant in my area because my sister worked at the restaurant and recommended me to her boss to manage their social media. And of course, I was perfect because at the time I was a chronic doom scroller. And looking back at it now, I remember the bliss and the ease of running that service. I mean, all I would do was go in twice a week, take photos and videos, and the rest of my time was spent editing those photos and videos and uploading them. And I made about $400 a month, £350, give or take. But then I became agitated. I wanted more than I was making at the time, and because I now had a taste for making my own money, I became hungry and was just looking anywhere and everywhere for my next meal. But I didn't actually know what to do in order to scale, because there is so much information on the internet, and I had this daily checklist of about 50 things that I thought I needed to do in order to get to the next level. And well, fast forward to now, about 5 years later, I now run a business that makes me over $2 million a year at 22. And over time and through constant iteration, I have perfected the daily checklist. It doesn't consist of 50 things to do. It consists of like 5-6 things to do that actually help you grow your business and have helped me grow my business to this status now. So in this video, I thought it would be time to drop the sauce on that checklist and show you the things that I focus on and the things that I make sure I tick off every single day that allows me to grow at an exponential level and will continue to do so. And so before we jump into the computer and I show you my to-do list, you first have to understand another concept, a concept known as moving pieces. Now, this is a phrase that I coined, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to coin this phrase, but it's a phrase that kind of illustrates the components within a business that actually move the needle forward. And what I've noticed from doing this myself and helping other people do the same is that people get caught up in the irrelevant way too often. They think that in order to grow their business, they need to be doing everything and anything that they possibly can. But it's like the good old Pareto's principle, right? 80% of the results come from 20% of the actions, which means within your business, you need to find that 20% of action that you can take that actually produces 80% of the results. And it's exactly the same with moving pieces. You see, moving pieces are kind of like the key parts of your business that everything else falls into, right? And whenever I get to a point where I'm thinking, I've just completed a massive checklist, or I've completed a project, or for some reason I have some open time in my calendar and I'm like, cool, what can I focus on? I always default back to my moving pieces and think, cool, let's pick one of these and focus on these to actually scale my business. Because over time, I've understood that that's what this all falls down to. And I've actually made a separate video about moving pieces and how to identify your own moving pieces in your business. But this video is also going to kind of act as a bit of a masterclass on how to do so. So let me show you how they actually fit in my to-do list and how I use that to-do list to scale. So as you can see here, I've pulled up my little Miro board to kind of illustrate to you my to-do list and how I actually build out my to-do list. And as you can see here, you've got two kind of blocks, right? And these here are the moving pieces that I'm talking about. So when it comes down to a business and, the different aspects in the business that actually help you grow your business, I would argue that these can be categorized into about 4 or 5 things, okay, that actually help you grow a business, and you're moving pieces within a business that will actually be the life or death of your business. And as you can see here, I've put 4 of them. Marketing, right? And that happens with every single business. Sales, fulfillment, and operations, right? Every single thing that you have to do within a business can be boiled down into one of these 4 categories, and these are your moving pieces. So whenever you're sat here, whenever you're stuck, whenever you're thinking, what should I focus on to grow my business, default back to one of these. Should I be marketing? It should either be sales, so marketing, getting awareness around your product or your service, sales, selling your product or your service, fulfillment, fulfilling your product or your service, and then operations, which is more of like systemizing, back-end team stuff. So let me kind of explain to you what this looks like. And when you have your moving pieces, what you want to do as a business owner is you want to break down what's actually included within these moving pieces. So at the moment you see a black box, I'm actually going to kind of reveal what's inside. So if we look at the first block here, we have content. And now obviously marketing is all about awareness for your product, for your service, right? So content fits into there perfectly. Ads fits into there perfectly. Emails, outreach fits into there perfectly. Affiliate stuff fits into there perfectly. Lead magnets, groups. So this is the kind of thing that I would argue within most service-based businesses, these would be your marketing components, okay? So for marketing, you have content, you have ads, you have emails, you have outreach, you have affiliates, which is obviously getting other people to promote your product or service for you, which is quite an uncommon one, but it works incredibly well. Lead magnets is another fantastic one, which is basically putting out free chunks of value for people to grab onto, and then you can collect their information. And then groups, which is kind of like, going into Facebook groups to show awareness for your product, for your service, okay? And this is one of, again, your moving pieces. Marketing is a moving piece within the business to actually help things move forward, and these are what it can kind of be broken down into. And as you can see down here, I've also got a more detailed variant, right? So if I get rid of this, you'll see that here, when you have something like content, you can actually break that down into the individual moving pieces within that moving piece, right? So content can be broken down into ideating, scripting, recording, editing, connecting. That is part of marketing, or part of content, sorry. Ads can be broken down as well into testing creative, testing audiences, market research, and also 20, 30 other components that I'm not thinking of, but you kind of get the idea. Emails, again, it's not just emails, it's actually lead generation, it's scripting emails, it's setting up the systems, it's outreaching to people, it's replying to people. Like every single one of these moving pieces can be broken down into more moving pieces, which means that, cool, if you want to get more awareness for your product, look at the individual things, content, ads, emails, outreach, and then look at the things within those individual things, right? So look at content, and then you can look down to ideating and scripting and recording. And these things down here, as you can see here, are your actual action steps that you can take. Because if I said to you, cool, go do content for your brand, right? It's quite a broad thing to do, like just content. What the hell does that actually consist of? These things are what it consists of. And when you understand that these are the actual things that create content and which creates marketing for your brand, it's much easier to then kind of digest the action step that you have to take, right? As per to ads, do ads. What the hell does that mean? It could be learning the ads, it could be testing creatives, testing audiences, setting things up, market research, looking at your competitors, right? Same thing goes with emails, and same thing goes with I guess outreach just kind of falls into emails as well. But affiliate, right? Affiliate could be setting up the systems. It could be finding a model that you can use, an affiliate model, setting up, I don't know, the software that you're going to use to track affiliates. Like these moving pieces that are split up into moving pieces can be split up into more moving pieces for your business. All right. And that is kind of like moving piece one. Marketing is always going to be a killer. And almost for every single business, I would argue 99% of businesses, marketing is obviously an incredibly important factor. So that's kind of moving piece number one. And then we've got moving piece number two, which is sales. Because for every single business, if they want to make money, they have to sell something, believe it or not, right? So for sales, we can look at things like funnels. And this is obviously kind of business dependent. I've used this whole moving piece thing as my moving pieces and as the moving pieces for the majority of service-based businesses, because I'm assuming you're watching this, you have one very, very similar. So funnels is one option. You've got closing, right? Actually closing deals, being on calls and stuff like that. You've got sales flows, which is like, having email reminders set up and having WhatsApp, SMS or whatever it is, or sending them over case studies before they jump on a call, whatever that may be. Setters, people in your DMs that are reaching out to people, having conversations with people. And you've also got things like email conversations, which is kind of going back and forth. Once you've reached out to someone for your marketing, you've done your email outreach, then you're having email conversations with that person to discuss details or whatever it is, right? That's the idea. So those are kind of, I'd say, the main components within sales, the main moving pieces. And of course, there's more, but you want to make it relevant to you, right? Sales is the headline. The individual things that go into sales are the individual things that go into it, right? And then of course, here you've got the detailed variant as well. So funnels isn't just funnels. If I just say to you, cool, go work on funnels, it's like, what does that mean? But that actually means split testing. It means conversion rate optimization. It means testing VSLs and testing different variables and stuff like this, right? So hopefully you kind of get the idea here. Closing as well. If I said to you, cool, work on closing for your business because that's going to help you grow your business, what does that mean? It means reviewing calls. It means training maybe your team. It means maybe split testing techniques or trying different ways to pitch your service, right? Each of these individual things will actually help build up your moving piece as a whole, okay? And then fulfillment. So that's kind of, I would argue, the third component for every single business. Fulfillment, actually fulfilling the thing that you've sold, whether that is you're selling a product and you are shipping that product, which can be as simple as shipping it, or it's fulfillment where you have a service-based business and you somehow have to actually fulfill that service, right? So that can be things for me, more or less. This is actually directly for me because I don't exactly know what your fulfillment looks like. If you have an influencer marketing agency, this fulfillment is going to be different. It's going to be onboarding. It's going to be setting up campaigns. It's going to be strategizing. It's going to be doing influencer outreach. This was a previous business I run, so I understand it very well. Now with the business I run, this is what my fulfillment consists of, right? So I do Q&As with my community every single week. I actually do multiple a week. Clarity calls, that's part of my fulfillment, right? For every new customer that comes on within my business, I do a clarity call with them, an onboarding call where we basically map out their entire business, which you can join, by the way, if you want to. I basically help people turn their skills into a business, into profit, and then scale that business exponentially. So clarity calls is a big part of my fulfillment. Game plan docs. This is where I fill out individual game plan docs for students, and these are detailed game plan docs bespoke to them and actually what are their next steps that's going to help them grow their business. I've got things like one-to-one chat support. That's part of my fulfillment. Reviews, which is reviewing content, reviewing sales calls, reviewing websites, landing pages, this kind of thing. Problem solving, which is just generalized problem solving. Live events as well. I host live events within my program as well, where we do in-person live events roughly once every 3 months. We've actually got one coming up in London in August, which is exciting for the Inner Circle, and the special guests as well. So that's part of my fulfillment, where I organize special guests to come in July, which is in about 4 weeks from you watching this. We have a special guest coming in who's actually a mindset coach, and organizing that is part of my fulfillment, right? Because I'm fulfilling the service to my customers. So again, that's my third moving piece within my business. These are again relevant to me. they'll be different to you. They'll be custom to you. You want to build out your own fulfillment steps depending on what it is that actually is important to you. Okay. And then again, at the detailed version, I've only put one thing in here just to kind of like summarize exactly what I'm talking about. But the detailed variant of this is if I went into Q&As, I have to plan the lessons. I have to actually conduct the Q&As, for an hour and a half. And I do post-recording as well and make notes on the post-recording. So for each and every single thing, there's individual steps that go into it, right? So if I was going to take something, and you can build this out yourself. If I was going to take something like, let's say it's game plan docs, right? Oh, hello. Plan docs. Part of that is actually it's brainstorming around what I spoke about with the student that joined on. It's strategizing. It's actually building out the steps for them. It's kind of like cross-referencing it with what they've done in the past and what their biggest pain points are and all this kind of stuff. So I would fill that out that's relevant. So if I thought, okay, cool, today I want to focus on, as a matter of many other things, I want to focus on improving my game plan docs or working through my game plan docs for my students, I would think, okay, cool, what does it actually break down into? What are the moving pieces that allow me to work on the game plan doc, which allows me to work on the fulfillment for my business? All right. And that again helps you visualize everything very, very clearly. Again, that's relevant to you. And then operations, I would argue, is the fourth thing for most businesses that's important. This is a bit more like miscellaneous things, right? So it's not something specific, but operations for me within my business looks like things like team operating percentage, which is basically like what percentage of efficiency am my team operating at? Because you do have good times, you have bad times within your business in terms of like how kind of like locked in and kind of like high performing your team is. You'll have waves of things. So part of my operations is to make sure that my team is always performing at the highest percentage possible, right? Because that for me means that, cool, if they're performing at the highest percentage possible, I'm going to get the best result as a business owner. Okay. Another thing could be something like CRM management. That's part of the operations, managing the CRM, managing the customer database, managing the flows and backend sequences and stuff, hiring and firing. That's part of the operations as well. Training team members, bringing on new people, onboarding them. Growth consulting. This is part of the operations for me, where I have consultants that consult me in terms of growing my business, right? And I would say this is part of the operations for the business because it helps grow the business. Systems as well, back-end systems and stuff like that. So here's like a snapshot of what my operations would look like within my business. And these, again, are all miscellaneous things. I don't really fall into any of these. Like training doesn't really fall into marketing, sales, or fulfillment, right? It falls into just growing the business as a whole. Growth consulting, again, doesn't really fall in, it kind of falls into everything, right? But it's nothing specific. CRM management doesn't really fall into anything specific because it's not part of fulfillment, because it doesn't actually fulfill the service, but it helps me grow my business. Does that kind of make sense? And then again, you have the detailed variants of whatever it is. So again, I've only put one here, but team operating percentage. For me, to increase my team's efficiency and the efficiency at which they work at, I need to do things like weekly check-ins, right? Making sure that everyone's happy, no problems. Morale, where's the morale at? Is it high? Is it low? What's going on? Morale boosting as a result, so I do things with my team such as like, we set goals and we give away kind of like rewards and stuff if they start achieving certain goals. That boosts morale and all this kind of stuff. And goal setting as well, kind of like all falls into the same thing, right? But this is what I would consider part of my process of boosting my team's operating efficiency percentage, right? So this is kind of what your moving pieces would look like. Again, they would be custom to you depending on your business, but I would argue that they would all fall into very similar categories. And actually, the more kind of simplified you can be with what they are, marketing, sales, fulfillment, operations, it just makes everything easier to manage and deal with, especially as a business owner when you are spinning a lot of plates. Maybe you don't have a big team yet as well, so you've got to kind of be managing the majority of things. And then again, breaking it down into a detailed variant. So you can even go into more detail of this, like you can have detailed and then you can have like detailed plus, which is where you would take the individual things, ideating, scripting, recording, editing, and connecting with other like-minded accounts and stuff like that, so you can kind of build your online network. Anyway, you can take these things and you can split them up into more, right? So I won't go into too much detail here, but you can almost take this, let's say you've created another one which is like marketing detailed plus or whatever it is, and this can just be ideating, right? And then you can go into what does ideating actually consist of. It consists of things like market research. It consists of things like mostly it's market research, right? It's market research, maybe it's jotting down ideas, maybe it's brainstorming. Like, what does ideating actually consist of? And then you can do the same thing with scripting, with recording, with editing, with connecting. Like, you can go as detailed as you possibly want until you get to the point where you can see the individual tasks that help you contribute towards the moving piece, which helps you grow the business as a result. That makes sense. And this, again, helps you look at everything from a really good bird's eye view where nothing's missed, nothing's lost. So how does this actually contribute towards a to-do list? Because that's why you're here, right? You want to figure out what is the best to-do list, daily to-do list within your business. And you're probably not going to be happy when I say this, but it's up to you. Like, it really is up to you. There's no perfect to-do list. There's no to-do list that's better than someone else's. But what I would argue here is to look at your moving pieces. And this is why it's so incredibly helpful to build your moving pieces out. Look at your moving pieces, what they are, what are the things and the components within your business that actually help you build the business. And it would be these 4 things, most definitely. But these things down here are separate to you, right? So content, ads. You may not be running ads. That's not a moving piece within your business. You may not be doing any outreach. That's not a moving piece within your business. You may be doing content. That may be a moving piece within your business. So the idea here is that what you will do to actually create your to-do list is that you will start to take different components, or actually what you can do is you can build out everything, right? And then you can start highlighting it, the colors that are relevant to you. So for me, if content's relevant, for my actual business, content is relevant, ads are relevant, emails aren't relevant, outreach isn't relevant, lead magnets are relevant. Groups aren't relevant, affiliates are becoming relevant, so I'll put that in here as well. So these may be the actual moving pieces in my business that I know that when I put attention and effort towards these things, I get a good result. So I would highlight them in green. Same thing goes with sales. I mean, all of these are relevant to me because I built them out, bespoke of my business. Fulfillment, all of these are relevant to me. Operations, these are relevant to me, right? So when it comes to my to-do list, the idea is that this doesn't have to be on a daily basis, but at least on a weekly basis, you should be doing at least one or multiple of all of these things, right? When it comes to your weekly to-do list, they should fall into all of these categories. So something should be coming from marketing, something should be coming from sales, fulfillment, operations, which kind of builds into your to-do list, okay? So what this can look like, for example, is, let's say you're building your to-do list for tomorrow, okay? And you want to focus on one of these things because you know at least all of these things grow your business. Which one do you want to focus on? Ideally, you would lean towards the one that's the most important for your business at the time, right? So if you have a good sales team, if you have good fulfillment, you have good operations, they're all like up to date, but your marketing is slacking a bit, focus on your marketing. You know, what you can do is you can actually take things from here, take the detailed variants, go into your to-do list and paste them in. And that's quite literally it. I mean, I haven't built this out very well. Let me make the text a bit smaller. And that's quite literally it, right? So you would take things from your detailed variant based on what you need to focus on, and you put it into your to-do list. So if today content is the important part, because I know that actually helps me grow my business, I would put that in. If I know that I need to focus on sales today as well, I would go to something like, right, I'm going to focus on my closing. I'm going to improve my closing team and see what I can do to help them. Improve their efficiency, whatever that may be. So I'm going to be doing reviewing calls, training, split testing techniques. I can go into more detail and I can just pick reviewing calls just as the task for today. So if I go into closing, right, I can take one of these things specifically. So I can take something like reviewing calls, and that can be the entire thing. So I can do review and calls, and I can get rid of this stuff here. Actually, I'll get rid of all of that, and I can detail what reviewing calls is included in, right? So I can say 5 calls to review. This is part of my like sales team calls, right? Or my own calls, whatever it is. Make notes, note improvements. Right, that could be my task for today because I know that this is important for me because it contributes towards my sales part of my moving pieces within my business, and I know that's going to help me improve my sales, which helps me grow my business, right? For a lot of you, marketing will be the main thing because obviously generating traffic, generating interest is going to be kind of step priority number 1. And the rest will come from that. But that's kind of how you build out your own to-do list, right? Your own custom to-do list, is that you take relevant things to you. I want to focus on fulfillment. Q&As for me is timely, so I don't need to do all that all the time. But let's say I want to focus on one-to-one chat support or game plan docs, because I've already got it here. I would go game plan docs, put that in here. I would then build all of this out, again, depending on what I need to focus on. But this helps you build a to-do list that is relevant for you, is relevant for your business, and will help you grow to the next level. And so that is actually how you build out your own custom bespoke to-do list based on what you need to focus on as a business, okay? Again, do not just listen to people blindly. And when they say, oh man, this is the most important thing to do in your business, what's important for you? What are the moving pieces in your business that you need to focus on because they're going to help you get to the next level? And what you can even do, which is, super beneficial, is instead of highlighting them green and being like, yeah, that's relevant for me, highlight them in yellow or red or orange or whatever it is, if they are like underperforming. So, if that's the problem. And then what you can do every single day when you create your to-do list, or ideally the night before, so you create it for the next day, is you look at what's highlighted in red, yellow, orange, and you think, cool, these are the important things because these are the things that are slacking. So for me, if my team morale seems really low and people are just underperforming, and that's just like, what is going on? I can highlight this, for example, in let's just say it's red, and I can say, okay, cool, this is going to be my focus for the next day. So I would take this, I would put it into, you can do this however you want, right? This is just easy to visualize it. And I would say, cool, this is what I'm going to do for tomorrow, because I know that my team operating at a high efficiency and making sure that everything is good is important to me. It helps me grow my business. So I'm going to make that as part of my to-do list because I know that's going to help me grow my business. Okay. And this is basically what you need. It's all you need to grow your business. And you just take out the different components that are important to you to grow your business, because it either falls into marketing, sales, fulfillment, or operations 90% of the time. A lot of the other shit isn't relevant. And if something's going on or there's a task that you feel like you should be doing, but it doesn't fall into one of these 4 categories, it's not relevant for you within your business. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't tick any of the boxes. What is the point of even considering it if it doesn't fall into one of these boxes? Okay. And again, if there's more boxes that you think are relevant for you, I don't exactly know what that is, but if you operate your business a certain way, then put that in one of the boxes. Make that part of your moving pieces. For me, for a lot of service-based businesses or coaching businesses, marketing, sales, fulfillment, operations, that's all it falls into. Okay. And again, you can get more detailed into different components, into the email components, into the sales components, into the fulfillment, whatever is relevant to you, put that in there. But this is basically how you build out a to-do list that will help you grow your business to at least 100K a year in 2025. And possibly, I mean, this is what I do, and I make over $170,000 a month. So take whatever you will, right? But that's it. Any questions, let me know. If not, check the description below of this video because it's going to be very valuable, and I will see you in the next one.